Hello, good people. I'm glad to see that you have joined us here today. Kindly tell us if you can be able to hear the audio loud and clear before we start our day session today. I'm glad to see that you are all here. I can see we have 5 people who have joined in. Just confirm how our audio is this day. Just confirm how our audio is this day, and we'll be able to begin. I want to believe that you all had a wonderful Saturday, and for the Adventist, you had a wonderful Sabbath. If you're from work, I believe you've had some time to clear off your mind so that we can be able to talk a few issues concerning production. I'm sure everyone who is here somehow has love for sound music production. Probably you're an instrumentalist. This is the right place for you at whatever level you are. I would like to welcome you. If it's your first time here, consider subscribing so that you don't miss any time we stream. We'll have a stream every other weekend where we share anything and everything concerning music production. If you can hear me, I would be very appreciative if you can confirm that that the audio is okay before we start. I can see we have 4 people watching. Today we want to talk about everything to do with a DAW. What is a DAW? What is the best DAW to use in this day and era? The know-how of the interface of a DAW. How does it work? How do you add tracks? And how do you connect your devices to your DAW? I'm just waiting for you guys to confirm whether the audio is okay so that we don't end up having the whole video but there was no audio at all. So could you kindly confirm through the live chat whether you can hear me, whether you can see me? I would be glad to hear that. For the people who joined us in our previous video, which was our very first one, thank you once again for joining in this one. Last time we were just talking about basically an intro to music production. What is music production? What are the steps in simple ways from scratch to finish of making a song? I can see Adam is here. Adam's Okech, a very good pianist. Thank you. Finally, somebody has confirmed that the audio is okay. So you've had people talking about DAW, DAW, digital audio workstation. What is this? Hezekiah Mageto, thank you so much for joining in. He's saying loud and clear. I'm glad that you're here. What is DAW according to you? What is a digital audio workstation? For the ones who are there with us in our previous video, I believe we somehow discussed on the definition of a digital audio workstation. But today I'm going to read from a book here known as Music Technology from Scratch, written by Mortimer Rind Tut. This is a book which is used by students for music technology. And in the glossary, here is what or how they describe a digital audio workstation. For the ones who would want to know how the book looks like, this is the book, and I think it's a material you'd want to have. You can download it online. It's called Music Technology from Scratch. So I'm going to just read. And it says, a digital audio workstation is a collection of audio equipment for recording based around computer software and an audio interface. Once again, a digital audio workstation is a collection of audio equipment for recording based around computer software and an audio interface. As I had said earlier in our previous video, that initially you would have to be a child of a millionaire to own a music studio, because everything was in form of hardware. Every single machine, whether you want a compressor, whether you want a reverb, you'd have to create or build a reverb room, you know. If you want delay effects, if you want to have your guitars pass through cabinets, you'd literally have to have those physical machines. But we thank God that in this day and era, as much as we still have the physical hardware, which is very good, we have also been privileged to access these things in terms of software, things that can be run just through your machine. And that's why you're hearing from the definition that it's a collection of audio equipment, not necessarily in physical form, but audio equipment that is used for recording based around a computer and an interface. And of course, from our last video, we said we will need to have some form of computer, whether it's PC or Mac, to do our work here. So we have already defined what is a digital audio workstation. One question that people normally want to ask or love asking is, what is the best digital audio workstation, or some people call it, what is the best audio software for recording? And they normally like adding the year that we are in. For example, here they will say, what is the best digital audio workstation in 2022? Of course, these are questions sweet to the mouth, and always people want to hear answers that suit them. But for me, I would take it this way. All digital audio workstations can almost perform any task that you require to produce music. But people prefer one over the other because of preference. Somebody may like the interface of one interface in comparison to another. One person may find one interface a bit easier to work with in comparison to another. But when it comes to the fundamentals, adding a track, recording, making sure your sound interface can be read through that DAW, connecting an instrument to your DAW, all these things are just but standard. So the choice will completely get down to your preference. You may like FL Studio, you may love Cubase, you may be one who likes Pro Tools, you may be one who likes Logic. There are things that people call industry standard. They have been used over time by award-winning sound engineers. And for now, I know of two. There is one called Pro Tools, which works for both Mac and Windows. And then we have Logic, which is just a Mac-based DAW. But for all our tutorials, I'm going to be using Studio One. Studio One is one that I found wonderful to me, and of course it trickles down to preference. So today we will literally get into it, and I want to see if I can bring that right on to our screen. Let's see if we can have that right onto our screen. So yeah, I hope you can be able to see when you open Studio One. This is what you will be seeing. If you can be able to see, just confirm that that is visible on our screen. And of course, whatever knowledge we learn here, if you're a fan of Cubase or whatever other DAW, you can literally apply. It's a matter of application, but the concept and the fundamentals stand to be the same. So if you can be able to see this on your screen, just confirm that it is there. I'm not a guru in streaming, but I'm trying. So here we have Studio One. When you open up, you will see something exactly like this. So let me just open it all the way from scratch so that it doesn't seem something very, very new. So I'm opening up Studio One. Let me just bring back my screen shortly. I'm opening up Studio One. Do we have Studio One yet? No. Yeah, it's coming. So we want to see generally how the interface looks like, the basic way of using the interface. It seems I'll just have to start from where we were. It can't bring that window from scratch. So let me just bring it up in a second, and there we go. If you don't have a preferred DAW and you would like one, please, I would advise that you use Studio One. If you already have one, that is okay. I had shared the link on how you can access this through our WhatsApp group. Definitely, I can't share that here on YouTube for reasons I think you all know. So when you open it, you'll have something like this, and probably we may want to talk about how do I connect my devices to my DAW. And for now, from now on henceforth, I will call our DAW Studio One, since the one we are using. So if I have my MIDI piano, or let's say a keyboard, whether you have a Yamaha keyboard, how do I connect it to this? We already talked about the cables, how you connect it to your computer, but now we want to see how can Studio One read my piano. And today, I don't know if you can see in my background, I have a MIDI piano by M Audio. So right over here we have several drop down menus that you can use to find your way out on this DAW. But before we get into how this interface works, let's just get into how to connect our devices. So you'd come to Studio One. Right down here, you'll have to go to Options, and you may want to come to External Devices, and you can actually see the icon is the old MIDI cable. So if you have, there are some keyboards which the moment you connect with your USB to your computer, it will directly read it. Others will require you to get a driver. Assuming, for example, you have, this one of mine is M Audio Key Station 88. You just go to Google, type that and type driver. If you're using Windows, you write for Windows, download and install. And for the Yamahas, even if you don't have the driver, you may just come here and say add. And then they will ask for the device model. If you want, you may write Yamaha. You may want to write the model of your keyboard, but that's not the most important thing. The most important one is when you come here, receive from, and you select, you'll be able to see whatever piano you're using here. Whether it will write the name of the piano, or it will just write USB MIDI or something like that. You will select. And for my case, if it were not reading, I would have chosen Key Station 88 or MIDI Key Station 88. And yeah, I think that's basically it. And for my case here, it can already be able to read it. That is for a piano, if you want to connect your piano. For all the other devices, of course, commonly we have microphones, the ones we use to record our vocals or our acoustic instruments, or otherwise you would be having cables running to your interface from maybe your keyboard if you're recording live and the audio live. So you would want to find a way of connecting your interface, and by interface I'm meaning sound card or audio interface, to your Studio One. And for this case, you'd have to come to Studio One once again, go to Options, come to Audio Setup, and then Audio Device. Drop down menu, choose the one that you are using. If you don't have an external audio interface, just choose Windows so that you use the internal sound card of your computer. If you have a sound card and you can't see it here, once again, it's an issue of drivers. Just get to know the model of your interface. For mine, it's called a Focusrite 18i8. Type it in Google, and then after it, write driver. If it's for Windows, write Windows. If it's for Mac, write for Mac. Download it and install. It should be completely free. And for the sake of connecting your devices to your DAW, I think that's basically all that you have to do over there. That's basically all you have to do over there. I don't know why is our camera misbehaving today. Oh, we are back. Yes, that's basically what you have to do over there. So the other thing we may want to do is understanding understanding just how Studio One looks like over here. And whatever we discuss here, as we've said, it can be applied in any DAW. So there are 3 main windows that we have over here. I hope my cursor can be seen. And to access these windows, you have to come to the bottom right. I believe this is the bottom right of your screen. And you can see we have edit, we have mix, we have browse. So when we are under browse, this is where you can select a few things, instruments, whatever effects you want. This is where you can search, and we have a search bar, or I don't know, it's called search engine, search bar over there when you want to search for something. So browse is typically for browsing every other thing that you have in your DAW, from effects, loops, instruments, files, and all that kind of thing. Then we have mix. The mix knob, if you've seen a mixer is normally made of faders, like the one you have in your church. You have seen, they say, I don't know, a 12-channel mixer. So if I have my project and I have, let's say, 4 vocal tracks, you'll be able to see those faders of them all around here. And then, of course, this is the master fader, what you normally see on our live sound as the master volume. Just because I've not added any track, so you won't be able to see any other fader or any other channel over here. And if you want to remove or move from that window, you can just deactivate it. Once you press on it and it gets to gray, it's deactivated. And edit window is where you get to now deal on just one track, and you can be able to edit it from here. As you can see here, no track selected because we have not added any track, but we've said today we want to also learn on how to add tracks. So I'm going to deactivate that. So far, so good. I don't think we have any questions so far. Somebody is saying, Ezekiel, clearly visible today. I'm grateful that is happening. So so we want to see how to add tracks. If there's anyone who has not yet joined, just welcome them now, because I believe this would be good for them to know. You could also share this later on. So there are very many ways to add tracks, but we'll just go to the normal beginner way of doing it, which should be able to apply, I think, in almost all DAW. So if you look up here in all the menus we have here, we have one section written track. We have several types of tracks. You can add a mono track, you can add a stereo track, you can add an instrument track, and all these others, but I would want us to focus more on these first 3. At what point would you want to add a mono track? You would want to add a mono track if your input is mono, and in most cases we record our vocals in mono. If you are also using a mono cable plugged into whatever instrument you're recording, you'd also select mono. But in most cases, instruments like, for example, piano, we would love to record it in form of stereo because it has stereo information. And if you record it in form of mono, you are likely to lose that information. If you have some sounds which move sometimes to the left and right, you will miss that kind of information. So you'd want to select add an audio track which is stereo. And when we say add an instrument, this is when you're going to be playing the instruments that are in your DAW, what we call virtual instruments, which we are going to discuss about. So right now, this microphone that I'm using, I've connected it to line number 2. So I'm going to add mono track, just like that. You can name your track, just double click there, and let's say this is vocals. And this drop down menu allows you to select which input you'd want to use. For now, I've only activated 2 inputs here. My interface can take more than 2, but I've only activated 2, and we'll see how to change from that. So Since I'm on input 2, I would choose input 2 or right input. Then in order for this to work, you have to arm this channel. To arm it means it's ready for recording, and this would be that button for you. Once you press on it, it will light red. In all digital audio workstations, there is a form of arming. It may be slightly different, but you have to arm your track before you record. And right now you can see there are signals coming through. I hope now I'm not getting double sounds. Let me just confirm that we're not getting double sounds. All right, there we are. So that is basically it for just adding a simple audio track, and this is what you do literally for recording your vocals, right? Assuming, for example, I needed to record more tracks, I would just come back, select track, and say add another audio track, maybe call it tenor if I want to call it tenor. And if my input is any different, I would come to this drop down menu. If it's now input 1, just select input 1 and arm it in order for you to be able to record. So in terms of adding of mono tracks or adding of stereo tracks, you would still follow the same simple method. If you want to remove your track, just make sure you have highlighted your track or you have selected your track. Come back to this track menu here and remove track. There are shortcuts to this, but I believe we start from the very beginning. So that's ideally how to add a track. If I want to add now an instrument track, that is if I'm recording through my instrument, whether it's my MIDI piano or if it's a normal piano connected through a MIDI cable to your computer, you'll come back to the track section, add instrument track, and then of course now here you're not using the instruments from your keyboard, your Yamaha keyboard. You're going to be using instruments from your computer, the ones you have really installed in your computer. So you'll come here to browse and select the instrument section, and then whatever instruments you have installed, you'll be able to see them here. For now, I'm going to load contact. So you can just go to what you want, drag it right over your track like that, and you should be able to see the instruments that you want to choose from. Let me just choose an instrument that is very common to almost everyone here. So I'll choose a piano from Yamaha. There you go. So once I press now a piano, once I press my piano, I should be able to get sound. But I believe from your end you're not getting sound. Let me just fix that in a short while. So that is how you add an instrument. That's how you add an instrument track. And I think right now we should be able to have sound even in the stream, if I'm not wrong. If you can be able to get some form of sound, just confirm. There you go. So that's how we add a track. We may also want to look down here and see other things that we got over here. So down here we have what we call the transport buttons. These ones, they should be very common. Stop, play. This is our record button. If you want to record, once you have armed your track, you would want to press record so that you can be able to record. And of course you can see some MIDI information being recorded into my piano track, definitely. And if you want to stop the recording, just press stop. Then we also have this, which I think is very important. Assuming you want to have a few counts before you start doing your recording. For example, if you're doing an a cappella session and it does not have some form of intro, or even if it has the instrumental but you're beginning immediately, or assuming it's a live session and you're recording a group of musicians, whether they're instrumentalist plus vocalist, and you want some form of pre-count for them that they can hear through their headphones, you'd want to press the pre-count so that when you start recording, it will give you a pre-count. Let me just press record and you'll see what happens. You've seen it has given me 4 counts before we started recording. And then we have another important one, a metronome here that you may want to use when you're creating your music. You also have the meter or the time signature, where you can select the kind of time signature you want to use for your kind of song. So far so good. I don't know if there's any questions up to there. We've talked about how to add tracks for vocals, how to add tracks for instruments, and basically the whole interface that we have over here, how to arm a track and record. Yes, so is there any question to that effect that I would gladly answer? Is there any question to that effect? If there's no any question, all right. If there's no any question to that effect, I think we will proceed. We'll proceed. So let me just remove this track. So assuming now you wanted to have your interface give you more tracks, assuming your interface can take 4 channels. So how do I make sure that my interface can be able to show all those channels in Studio One for this matter? So you'll come back to your Studio One, come to your options, and then you'd want to come to wait a minute. You'd want to come to song setup. Yes, song setup. And then wait a minute, where are we? Yes, song setup, and then you come to this third option, not meta information, but audio input and output setup. And of course your interface will be shown here. For me, I'm using a Focusrite via USB. So these are the channels that are being seen right now. Input left and right as a stereo channel, input left as a mono channel, input right as a mono channel. So I'm going to remove all this and we try and add our channels on our own. Of course, you can see here, up here you'll be able to see the number of channels that your audio interface has. I have input 1, input 2, input 3, input 5, up to 8. I have SPDIF. SPDIF can be used, okay, we'll not go there. We have several adapts there, but our most important ones for today is input 1 to 8. So assuming your interface has input 1 to 8, or even if it has 4, it will be the same kind of method. So if I want to add mono input, I'll just press here, add mono input, and of course you can see that that one has corresponded to input 1, and you can name it however you want. If you want to call it mic 1, it is still okay. Add another mono input, add another mono input. I've added up to the 8th part. If you want to add as stereo, still the same. If you want to rename, you could rename. If you want to call this mic 2 and so on and so forth, you can be able to do that. Then you have to apply. You have to apply and save, so that when you come here and add your track, let's say you've added a mono track, you'd want to select whether it's mic 1, mic 2, mic 3. You can be able to see from here, and for me I think it's mic 2, and you can see we already have signal coming through. So in brief, that's how we are able to go through our tracks here and there, adding tracks, adding instruments, increasing the number of tracks. And then probably lastly, since we were already in that section, you have seen people producing songs, and even when you download them and play them in your player, whether it's a VLC player or Windows player, you have seen people having their songs with names that it's like they're engraved into those tracks. Whether you rename it, if you play it in a player, it will write the name of the artist, the name of the producer, and all that information. That information is what we call metadata, which you can really put into your song when you're recording or when you're mixing your song. So you'll go to options, and once again you'll go to song setup, and this time you'll not go to audio input or output setup. You'll come to the second part, meta information. And of course, you can add all the things you want here: title, the name of the artist, the name of the album, and all these other. If you want the copyright issue to pop up whenever somebody opens the song, you can just say pop up, and also check that if that's what you want. You can also add a photo or an image that will be showcasing when your audio is played in any player, and you'll just come here and select any photo that you would want to select from your computer. And of course, you can see the limited size. It must be 1400 by 1400 pixels. So that's how you add your meta information. And of course, you have to hit apply and hit OK once you're done with that. Up here, we have some editing tools that I will touch on some of them. First of all, this right here works as our arrow tool, and I'm sure all of us know what an arrow tool is, or if you don't know what an arrow tool is, it's the one which you use to be able to select. It allows you to select once it's in the form of arrow, the arrow tool. Then we have the split tool. Split tool can be able to allow you to split a track wherever you want to split it into. If you look here, you can see I've split it into two, and if you did that by mistake, you can just press Ctrl Z and you undo that. Then we have rub tool. Assuming, for example, I'd already let me just play something small here. So I'm going to add a track here, add something, then we try and rub a few things here. So I'm going to add okay, let's just add another track. Since you're already here, I can show you one of the shortcuts. So if I've chosen that this is the instrument I want to use, I don't have to go all the way up and select track and add instrument track. I can just drag that to this part over there, and it will add for me that instrument track. And now for this session, let me just pick maybe a string section. I have something here called Berlin Orchestra, so I'm going to choose a whole string section. Let's say a string ensemble. Yes, let's select that. It seems some people got tired and slept off, but for the ones who are still soldiering on, things will get more interesting as we go on. But I wouldn't wish to start anything from the middle and assume we are all on the same page, yet we are not. That's why I'm taking it step by step, and you can always join in wherever you feel your level is. And as we had promised, by the time we are getting to the end of this month, we'll be having our first seminar. And we'll be having an invited guest, and of course it has to be a well-accomplished studio producer who can also help us learn a few things here and there. So if you're still here, we are glad that you're still here with us. I can see I'm just here with one more person. Interesting, but we will soldier on. If you find this later, there is no problem. You can always get these streams through this channel whenever you feel like you'd want to go through them once again. So let's see if our instrument has loaded. Where is it? It's right over here. Okay. Ooh. I can't seem to. Okay, it's loading. In a short while it will be there with us. So here we are. I'm just going to record something small, then we can be able to see the work of some of these editing tools, because it makes more sense when we are doing it rather than just discussing about it. So I've already armed the track. I've already of course I've already done what? I have connected my MIDI piano already. So we're just going to press record. Let's get this out of the way. Press record. There's actually a song I know and like. Let's use that. Let's use the end of Even Unto Death. So we have something there. I don't know if you can still hear the audio, but yeah, there we go. Let me just close this quickly. So the other thing we had not talked about is this thing down here. This is what you use to zoom in or zoom out. You can see that is I'm zooming in, and I can zoom out so that I see the whole of my track. And the shortcut for that is W and E on your keyboard. If you use that, you can be able to do just the same thing. So let's go to our editing window. And in our editing window, you can literally see the notes. You can literally see the notes. So let's just play from here. And you can use your space bar the same way you use when you're playing through other media playing softwares. So you can use it to play and of course stop as well. So we have talked about you zooming in using W and E, and of course using also this down here. But if you also come right over here where you're seeing some numbers and left click, hold down your left clicking button and then drag down or up, you can use the same for zooming in and out. And I find this very interesting and easy to use. That is one of the reasons I like Studio One. So whatever tools we had here, some of them are right here. But remember, right now we are in the editing window. So in this editing window, if you're on the arrow tool, you can use it to select through the notes that you are having right here. And of course you can see what I've recorded is in terms of MIDI, and we'll discuss in detail the difference between MIDI and audio files. Of course you can see, for example, like this note is a D, but I can drag it down. You can use the arrow button on your keyboard and take it down as much as you want, or up as you would want. So arrow tool helps you to select a few things here and there. I can select, let's say, like those notes and do whatever I want with them. Then remember we talked about the split tool. So for the split tool, for example, I may decide probably I want to split this note right there to make it become 2. That is possible. If you did it by mistake, Control Z or Control Z, and it's back to normal. Split tool, you can also use it to split your track. My track is here, so assuming there's this first part that I played and this second one, and I want to split it, let's say right over there, I'll just do that. Wherever you put it, you can you can just split it on whatever place you want to do it from. All right, then we have the pencil tool, or what is being called here the paint tool. This is the one you would use to write some of the notes directly into your DAW if you're not playing an instrument. So assuming I wanted to write a C, I would select that paint tool and just write over where I want to write, and you can see that since I didn't want to do that, I'm just going to undo all that. And the rubber tool, or how is it called here, the eraser tool, as you can hear, you can use it to erase. So just press on any note you want to erase and you can be able to do that. The other way of erasing, assuming you're still in the arrow tool, you could just press a note. Is it twice? Yes, you press a note twice and you'll have erased it. And I find that very interesting. You can use this mute tool to mute whatever section you want to mute. If I mute like that, you will not be able to hear those specific notes that I have muted. You hear? If you can hear that, we missed these top notes here. We missed these top notes here, and you can still use the same tool to unmute what we have here. Listen tool. If you just want to listen to one section of whatever you have done, you just press down the listen tool into whatever part and it will start playing. Like for example, if I left click from here, you can see it plays right for you. And then right to this Q. Q stands for quantizing. We will talk about it in detail next time. But quantize is simply, of course, we know we as humans, we can't play exactly on beat, even if we train for. We will always have those human errors, actually, and that is what makes us unique. So if you want to put things to the beat, most especially things like drums, you'd want to use this quantize button. And once you press quantize here, if you press the Q, you would want to select, you want to quantize it to the nearest what. If it is a 16th note, a quarter note, and what have you here, you select over there. So assuming I wanted to quantize everything to let's say I wanted to quantize everything to 16th notes, or semiquavers if you want to call them that way. I'll just select the 16th note there. Let me come back to my cursor, and then I can press Ctrl A to select everything, and then I can simply hit Q. Hit Q on my keyboard, and you can see things have moved. They have tried to fix them to the nearest semiquaver notes. Of course, that was not my plan for this song. Actually, it doesn't sound bad. But some notes are out. You can actually also quantize just a few notes if you'd want to quantize just a few notes for whatever reason. You may want to do something like that. So assuming it's just these 3 notes or 4 notes, I will select them and then press Q on my keyboard, and you can see they are quantized. So you have a lot of options even after playing on what really you can be able to do. Assuming I wanted to delete this first part that I had, let me first just remove this editing window. If I want to remove this first part that we had created here, I'll just press delete on my keyboard, or you can right click and you should be having an option of delete. You can, if you are on your arrow tool, you can be able to drag things to whatever place you want them to, as easy as that. The other thing you could also do, assuming I want this part to keep on repeating, if I want to duplicate it, I can right click and let's say duplicate. All right, we will not go beyond that for for that matter. Assuming I wanted to duplicate this whole track, I want this track to come here as another track as well. For example, if I wanted to put a piano sound and the string sound, but to have the same kind of notes, I would just right click on my track here to the left and say duplicate track complete. And you can see it gives you the tracks, another track, a similar copy, a clone of what you had initially. Control Z if you want to undo that. If I liked this sound and I wanted to add another track of that sound, but not necessarily with whatever I had played here, I'll just come and say duplicate track. There you go. That would apply even for your vocal track. Let me just add a vocal track here quickly and we see what we are saying here. So let's say mic. You can name it anything, assuming you want to call it tenor, so that you can remember the people you're recording. Remember, it's an audio track and the format is mono, and we just want one track. So you add that track. Remember, we are recording through mic 2. I'm the track, then press record. So remember, record is down here on our transport window, but you can also press star on your keyboard, and that's the shortcut. You can be able to record. Check microphone 1 2. We are testing Studio One. So you have your recording right over there. If you want to play through it, just put your cursor wherever you want to play. Press your spacebar. Check microphone 1 2. We are testing Studio One, and it will play back for you. If you want to listen to this on a loop, you want it to keep on repeating, you'd want to come up here until it shows you the pencil tool, then left click and drag up to where you want to loop it. And then to enable the looping, just come to the loop button here and then press until it lights blue. So when I play right now, you'll see check microphone 1 2. We are testing Studio One, and it will loop once again. It will keep check looping. Microphone 1. Right, there we go. So assuming now we wanted to duplicate this track, there are two ways, of course. One is when you want to literally duplicate, for whatever reason, you want to even duplicate the recording that you did, everything. So you'd come here and say duplicate track complete, and you'd have something like that. Let's undo that. Control Z. If you want just to, you don't want to go into selecting the microphones once again, you just want to have that track where you can record somebody else, just say duplicate track. And if I am this, you can see it is also picking from the same microphone, which I think is very key for people recording quite a number of probably vocals, and they have a very short period of time. You don't want to go through the process of every other time selecting the channels you're recording through. We were to do this for 1 hour. We have 7 minutes to go. If there is anyone still here who has a question on what we've done or on anything that concerns what we've covered so far, I would be really glad to answer that right now. I would be very glad to answer that now. If you have any questions into what we have just covered, I would be happy to answer that right away. But if there is no questions, I would also be glad to say thank you so much for having joined us. I can see there are 4 people who are still here. I'm sure there's a question. So long as it is covering the scope of what we have talked about today, I would be willing to answer it today. Oh, okay. Adam Okechi saying, I got some problem with my network. Following from behind. I can't see your selections in the options. I can only see the cursor moving along empty timelines. Wow. All that long people are not seeing me. Let me just confirm that. Let me just pull up something quickly. If there's any person with a question, I'd also be glad to answer that. Let me just pull this quickly. Okay, let me just select a voice here. We see if it can if it can be shown right here. If you have a question, or if you, it doesn't have to be a question. If you also have an addition, because I know you have producers here as well, if you have something that you'd think would be of help to somebody who is trying to learn music production from scratch, you may also want to share the same information right here, and we'll be glad to have it shared. Let me see. I think I'm seeing everything, Adams. I don't know where the empty timelines were, but we can revisit that in inbox, and I will be glad to repeat without any problem or any challenge. So if there's no any, oh, I observed the same as Adams. So people, before we go off, just help me confirm so that we don't have the same kind of problem again. So let me just go to Studio One. Where is Studio One? Let me just go to Studio One. I don't know if it can be seen. Okay. Let me go to Studio One, and I want you to tell me, can you see me selecting this blue thing in the timeline? The track written tenor right here. Can you be able to see me selecting it? If you can, just quickly confirm so that we also don't take too long here. Ezekiel Mageto and Adams, kindly confirm. I believe we're still together here. Can you see me? Can you see my cursor right here? I'm even trying to stretch. Okay, I'm trying even to stretch through the track. Can you be able to see my actions here, so that we confirm that is not the problem and we solve the problem? Yes, selection can be seen. Thank you, Hezekiah. So I think probably what you are not seeing was when I'm selecting, was it when I'm selecting these tracks? Like for example, if I am choosing, let's say, let me just choose some session 1 cello or performance here. Let me just choose that over there. Can you see my selection right over here when I'm selecting the instrument on this contact window? If it can be seen, then I believe it was just an error. All right. So the challenge is on when working on the in and out section, maybe adding track, renaming etc. Ah, interesting. Wow, this is bad. This is bad. Let me just try that once again. So assuming now, for example, let me just remove these things altogether. Let's just remove that. Can you see my action when I'm removing this track? I'm removing this track written contact, the very first track, the instrument track. I'm removing the track and the instrument like that. Has my action been seen? Ooh. As I told you, I'm very new to streaming as well. So did you see me removing the track? Adams is saying exactly, we don't see the selections. Ooh, this is interesting. Anyway, we will fix this in our next video. Now we don't see. Okay, I think I have a solution here. A quick one. This one will solve. It will make. I have a solution here. It may make life a bit harder, but it should, for me, but it should solve the issue. I think in the meantime, I will take any questions. We had intended to stop this in the next 2 minutes, so that we also don't make it too long. I've been talking for the last 1 hour. So if there's any question, Adams, I believe you've done a lot of recordings, and you may want to share a thing or two up to the level where we are, how to use an interface so that we don't confuse someone right here who has just come to join us as I'm trying to add this. So is there any question as I try to figure this out? it would be good if we make this work now. Dear Lord, make it work. I hope this works. I hope this works. It seems there is no question. So once you guys confirm, we can be able to. I believe right now you can be able to see everything that is happening. Just confirm you can be able to see. Just that I will not have a lot of control. But I believe right now you can be able to see me adding a microphone 1. You can see me selecting through these selections here. You should be also be able to see me going through these options here on the audio input and output setup, pressing OK. Yeah, I believe that should be able to be seen right now. The only challenge with that setup is that I can't control things in the background. You'll be seeing any window that I am pressing, but we'll sort out that later. So since there is no further question, I will say thank you so much for joining. Hezekiah is saying, nope, I can only see that you've selected the track but hasn't been removed. Oh Lord. Okay, Hezekiah is saying, but so far so good, bro. You are doing well. Is the stream in the streaming side also? Thank you, bro. It seems Adam was able to see. God bless you all so much. And in case you have had friends who wanted to do audio production, I know how hard it is for people to share this knowledge, either because they don't know how to share. They are good producers, they don't know how to share. This would be a platform for everyone and anyone who wants to learn, whether it's from scratch. Bring them on board. If you have information you'd love to share also with other people here, including myself, since I'm also learning, I would be glad to host you in here. You can just chat with me in our inbox. Adams, you're going to be very, 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 very instrumental when we start talking about how to make tracks, whether it's through the Studio One or also through our MIDI piano. I would really like to make sure that you're here. I'm running out of saliva, guys. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to host all of you in this live session. And until another time, I would like to wish that the grace of our good Lord may abound in your lives, in your families, and in your workplace. Till another time, God bless you abundantly. Bye-bye.